Any interested parties? We are going to start again. We had the 1 o'clock hearings.
Three vacancies or two?
Two. I don't know how you count them. We're on the record. Let's,
Always wait to the end.
why don't you just call, see if any of the 3 cases are...
Okay, calling 74 Georgia Street, Ward 12. This is BZC number 33567. Is the applicant here for this case? I'm going to make a motion for denial without prejudice, as it is now 1:15 and the applicant is not here.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, calling 2747 Washington Street, Ward 11. This is BZC number 33448. This is a request to demolish the existing structure and erect a building for 6 residential units and 6 parking spaces. The violation is Article 50, Section 7. The use multifamily is forbidden. Your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is George Moranci. I'm an attorney with the business address of 350 West Broadway in South Boston, representing the applicant who is proposing to demolish an existing single-family home. It has been used in the past also as a 2-family home. It has been vacant for some time. It is in a substantial state of disrepair. I'm aware of the recommendation of the Boston Redevelopment Authority. Cognizant of that recommendation, when we began what became a fairly lengthy community process involving several meetings, we actually came back to the community with a different development scenario for a 4-unit proposal. We were actually requested to go back to the 6-unit scheme for this property site. The desires of the community were that we create more units. There were some changes made to the plans in terms of the massing of the building. The depth of the building was reduced to increase the amount of usable open space, and there were design changes made to the building during the community process, essentially to see that the building more closely reflected the architectural aesthetics of the surrounding neighborhood. Again, we had several meetings at the Shelburne Center on Washington Street, which is actually directly across the street. And the last meeting that we had several weeks ago resulted in very strong unanimous support for the project among all those in attendance, including direct abutters.
Thank you.
May I ask a question? The drawings that we have are dated 12/10/13, are they still current drawings?
Unfortunately, the architect is not here at this time. It's still a 6-unit scheme, Mr. Pisani. As you were coming in, I was explaining. We had gone to a 4-unit scheme. We came back to a 6-unit scheme at the request of the community. There have been some changes made, certainly not to expand the building. Were this matter to be approved today, we would submit the buildings with, the plans with the changes requested by the community, which are aesthetics and essentially bringing the building back in the rear to create more open space. We would submit those to the BRA during any attendant BRA design review process.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Kyra Fox, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, would like to go on record of support. They have met with the direct abutters at the Shelburne Center and have came to an agreement. I also just want to make sure that we put on the record that this developer continues to work with the community in faith of a good landlord as well as a good neighbor. And that is it.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Daniel Polanco on behalf of Boston City Councilor Tito Jackson. We actually go on record and oppose due to the questionable practices due to Cedar Realty has presented. We actually just had a hearing regarding housing, and we had over 400 residents at that hearing, and they presented their issues with Cedar Realty. So at this time, we'd like to go on record in strong opposition to the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Your name and address, please.
My name is Maria Cristina Blanco, I live at 65 Cornwall Street, number 110 in Jamaica Plain, and I'm here to represent the nonprofit organization City Life Vida Urbana, which has a citywide tenants association, and we would urge the zoning committee to take into account this developer's record as a landlord when considering any variance requests they make for construction. We were actually here to address, and we have a petition with about 400 signatures around the 3842 Hyde Park Ave project, which is also being developed by this developer. And since that was deferred, we're not going to present that petition at this time, but we would like to state our concern and reiterate that we are hoping to see that this landlord sits down with a mediator from the city of Boston and negotiates with their current tenants that they already have before we invest any more public resources in them, including zoning variances, to allow them to build anything new.
Who is the landlord?
To me, Mr. Ehrlich? The question is to me. The owner of this property is an LLC. The principals in the LLC are named Fred Starikov and Steve Whalen. For the edification of the board, Mr. Starikov and Mr. Whalen are also the principals in City Realty. City Realty is a city broker. They also own numerous projects in the city. This is not a City Realty project. I don't represent City Realty. This is an LLC that Mr. Starikov and Whalen established for this project. There are other issues at play here, which I alluded to when I deferred the 38-42 Hyde Park Avenue matter. I am not representing City Realty in their discussions with the City of Boston, with La Vida Urbana, with Councilor Jackson's Office Department of Neighborhood Development. They are working on those issues surrounding rental tenants of properties managed by City Realty, but they don't have anything to do, quite frankly, with the zoning proposal here for 2747 Washington Street. I can represent that during the meetings for this project, there was strong community support. My clients committed and actually have already made a substantial financial contribution to the Shelburne Center, and at least for this project, there was, as I say, considerable support, including direct abutters and others in the community.
Okay, I think that's good. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Blanco.
They testified last night that they own over 600 properties. I believe that they may have given a check for a couple $1,000s to the Shelburne Community Center,
All right.
but they haven't resolved the issues with many of their tenants who testified at the public hearing last night. Thank you.
For the record, they made a contribution of $10,000.
Okay, anybody else on this matter want to be heard? Washington Street. No one else? It's our turn. Come on, 6 of you. one of me.
And the mayor's office was in support of this?
They were support.
Yes.
There were some caveats or provisos or hopes the landlord would work with the neighborhood and dialogue.
In the absence of any other motion coming forward, I'm going to make a motion to defer and recommend that there be continued discussion with the community organization.
I second that.
Okay, there's a motion for deferral. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Opposed. One opposed, so the motion for deferment carries. I'll give you a date, I guess, in a second, Mr. Moranci. However, the reason for deferral is to execute the mayor's office discussion with the, okay, whatever you need to do. What date do we have?
Since you're here a lot on February 10th, we'll see you on February 10th at 12:30.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to call the committee recommendations next. We're going to just skip the 1 o'clocks for now. We're going to start off with the cases that we heard are BOA number 40, 3347, 38 to 40 Hatherley Road, Ward 22. I'm going to call all those that we deferred first. These were deferred to 11/20. This was deferred to 11/20. Also 56 to 58 Story Street, Ward 7, BOA number 406809. This was a request for a roof deck, which was also deferred to 11/20. And finally, 257 to 259 Princeton Street, Ward 1, BOA number 403468. Also, there was a motion to defer these to 11/20. So the motion to the current board is to accept these deferrals until 11/20.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. That's good.
Okay, 254 to 256 Washington Street, Ward 2. This was BOA number 405002. This was a request for takeout, which was approved with the proviso, the usual takeout proviso. BOA number 407167, 10 Wells Street, Ward 20. This was a request for a rear yard sunroom, which was approved. BOA number 404741, 1399 River Street, Ward 18. This was a request for a second floor deck, which was approved subject to BRA design review. BOA number 401955, 75 Hollingsworth Street, Ward 18. This was a request for a second floor shed dormer, which was approved subject to BRA design review. BOA number 402729, 154 Manchester Street, Ward 7. This was a request for a single-story addition, which was also approved subject to BRA design review. BOA number 393886, 3706 Washington Street, Ward 11. This was a request for a takeout, which was approved subject to BRA design review and to the usual takeout provisos. BOA number 404819, 2 Monument Court, Ward 7. This was a request for a roof deck. It was approved subject to BRA design review. BOA number 403812, 18 Hudson Street, Ward 3. This was a request for takeout, which was approved subject to BRA design review and with the usual takeout language. And finally, BOA number 406865, 1407 to 1417 Washington Street, Ward 3. This was a request for takeout, which was approved for design review and with the usual takeout provisos. So these were the recommendations, and I make a motion that these recommendations be accepted by the full board.
Second.
Okay, before we vote, I just want to ask, I'm all for this process for a long time. Are we kind of pushing takeout in the direction of pre-approval? I mean,
Some of them do go to
when
subcommittee.
it's simple, or
Yes.
someone has done it
Yes.
before, or?
Right.
Okay, it's fine. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're all set with that. On to the 1 o'clocks.
Yes, and the decisions are coming down for signature. We are going to go now to the 1 o'clock hearings. Any of the applicants scheduled for 1 o'clock requesting a withdrawal or a deferral. The address, please? Calling 1971 to 1977 Dorchester Ave, Ward 17. Please have a seat at the table. This is BOA number 390924. This is a request to, for the construction of a new 6-story mixed-use building. There is also a companion case, BOA number 390926, also for the same address. This is section 780 CMR 705.8 openings. Your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Catherine Bachman. I'm an attorney with offices at 60 State Street in Boston. I'm here on behalf of Trinity Ashmont 2 Limited Partnership, whose applications for zoning and building code relief for premises at 1971 to 1977 Dorchester Avenue and 4 Fuller Street are before you. We seek a, we hope, brief continuance of the board. The requested relief for variances and conditional uses will enable Trinity to replace an auto repair facility on Dorchester Avenue with a new transit-oriented development for up to 81 new residential units, an underground garage for residential parking, and first-floor neighborhood retail uses. This is a companion project to the very successful transit-oriented development undertaken by Trinity at the Caruth project, right at the Ashmont Station. There's been substantial community process since we initiated the project in early spring of this year, over 18 community meetings. And we have worked closely with the BRA on the Article 80 process, which is well underway and near completion.
So essentially, you're waiting for completion
We are
of your
waiting for Article 80,
process.
exactly.
Okay.
And so we were close, but not quite there.
So I'm going to make a motion for deferral.
A motion for deferral.
And if we have an expiring purchase and sale agreement at the end of January, so if it were possible for you to put us on the November board, we would be very grateful.
Well, I don't know.
Okay, so-
We want to hear it, and, I mean, if this is so close to completion and it's acceptable to us, I mean, we've never done it before, but you don't want something of this scale to expire and start over.
But at the same time, I think it's a dense project, and maybe it will benefit from its final process.
Do we have a date?
Well,
Christie?
Yes, we can figure something out, assuming that they dot their i's and cross their t's.
Okay, all right. So we'll make a motion for deferral,
So moved.
So move based on that.
and anyway, we can do call of the chair. I'm not in favor or against this, but I just,
We're going to see you on December 9th at 11:30.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
We very much appreciate your assistance.
Any other applicants requesting a withdrawal or a deferral? Okay, calling 22 Brookford Street, Ward 13. This is BOA number 395960. This is a request to erect a 3-family dwelling. Violations are Article 50, Section 29, insufficient lot size area for the proposal, insufficient lot width, insufficient lot frontage, insufficient usable open space, insufficient modal front yard, insufficient side yards. Also, FAR is excessive. Article 50, Section 43, off-street parking. This is not in compliance. There is a companion case also at 24 Brookford Street, Ward 13. This is also a request to erect a 3-family dwelling. Violations are the same as the previous. Your name and address for the record, please.
Douglas George, 32 Mayhew Street, Dorchester, Mass.
okay, only 3-family dwelling.
So you're essentially opposing 6 families on these 2 lots.
There's 2 lots here. What I'm proposing to do is replace the triple deckers. I'd like to submit these. These are the records of the knockdowns, the 2 triple deckers that were each at 22 and at 24 Brookford. I had substantial community outreach. We had a meeting. We was very well attended. There's a stretch of triple deckers that I own, 49 Judson Street and 51 Judson Street. We cleaned up those buildings. And the rest of the building, there's a total of 6 triple deckers between Judson and Julian. We had residents of all of those buildings, including many owner occupants, and they are all in support of this project.
And can you please speak to the parking?
The parking, we have 4 parking spots. We did the best we could with the parking. There's on-street parking, there's a public school there, the Winthrop School, and there is all on Brookford Street. It's all commercial that doesn't operate after hours. There's one house on 20 Brookford or 18 Brookford, and then all the way up to Blue Hill Ave is commercial. So the on-street parking, like anywhere, there are some issues with on-street parking, but it is available.
So are you saying that you're proposing construction of this?
Yeah, I submitted, that's examples of buildings I have built.
Okay, I just am
And
curious.
I sometimes think that the architectural elevations don't do proper justice to what I'm planning on delivering there on Brookford Street.
Let's move on with testimony. Anybody want to be heard on this matter? Come forward. Kyra?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Kyra Fox, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, would like to go on record of support. We did have a direct abutters meeting that was well attended, as well as petitions signed from abutters who could not attend, who are in support. As far as the parking concerns, they were satisfied with the 4 parking spaces that Mr. George is proposing.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Daniel Polanco on behalf of Boston City Councilor Tito Jackson. We'd like to go on record in support. We do ask that we're going to hold a butters meeting after this, and we just make sure that they're in attendance for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Tom McDonough from City Council at Large, Steve Murphy's office, like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Anything else you heard? None? What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion for approval, BRA design review.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. You're all set.
Thank you.
Calling BZC number 33601, 858 to 860 Beacon Street, Ward 21. This is a request to change legal occupancy from 24 apartments, office, and laundromat to include wireless communications facility and equipment. Violation is Article 86, Section 8, use and dimensional regulations, use rooftop and facade-mounted antenna. These are conditional in residential districts. Also calling BZC number 33603, 856 Beacon Street, Ward 21. This is a request to change legal occupancy from 14 apartments to include wireless communications facilities. The violation is the same as the previous. Finally, BZC number 33602, 862 Beacon Street, Ward 21. This is a request to change legal occupancy from 12 apartments and office to include wireless communications facility, and violation is the same as the previous. Your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Ricardo Souza from Prince Lobel, here on behalf of the applicant, AT&T Wireless and Boston University, which owns the property.
I'm sorry, who's the other, who are your clients?
AT&T Wireless primarily, but Boston University owns the property itself. They do.
I'm curious why you need it on 3 buildings. Couldn't one suffice?
So it's just one antenna installation. However, all 3 buildings are co-joint together, and as such, that's why we were requested to file all 3 applications.
Okay. Any questions on the installation? Anybody here want to speak on the installation?
There is. We met with the Audubon Circle Neighborhood Association, Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Shana Auburn, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Our office would like to be heard on record in support of this application with continued BRA design review. As the petitioner stated, they did meet with the Audubon Circle Neighborhood Association, and they did have concerns with respect to the head house addition with the antenna. But again, with continued BRA design review, hopefully these issues can be addressed.
Look at the pictures, it doesn't look like they're building a head house, are you?
There is a proposed, there's one existing penthouse. We're putting 4 antennas on that. And then on the left-hand side, in order to disguise the antennas, we were proposing a small penthouse that is less than half the height of the existing penthouse.
I thought that was existing.
Yep. And what we've, with the Audubon Neighborhood Association, they've asked us to turn it into 2 faux vent pipes, which we can do instead of putting up a penthouse.
Gary?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Gary Walker, electricians, Local 103, I'd like to speak in strong support also.
Anybody else? So is this a BU housing?
It is BU housing.
Housing?
That's correct. We have a representative from BU here today.
Make a approval with detailed BRA design review.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We're all set.
Thank you,
We're
Mr.
going to be
Chairman.
adjourned.
Thank you, members of the board.
Thank you.